Imagine if the electric grid ran more like Spotify, learning your tastes, adapting instantly, recommending the perfect song, and plus, even deciding when to charge your car at 2 a.m. to save you $50 a month. Right now, the grid is basically like a landline telephone that just discovered texting exists and is sometimes struggling to catch up with the times. But those imagined possibilities for the power grid, that's the promise of AI. Taking the largest machine in the world, the electric grid, and giving it a real-time digital brain. Today we're diving into how AI will transform renewable energy and grid management, where it's already working, risks we need to handle, and especially important, what this means for your electric bill, your community, and even your future fridge that might talk to your utility company more than you do. First, the problem: a 20th century grid in a 21st century world. The power grid we depend on every moment wasn't designed for rooftop solar, large wind farms, electric vehicles, data centers, or millions of devices feeding power back and forth. The grid was built for a world of giant predictable power plants. Coal here, gas there, power goes one direction, customers mostly passive. And if things break, a middle-aged utility employee named Dale gets called in at 3 a.m. to save the grid. In her book, The Grid, Gretchen Baki describes it as an aging patchwork never built for millions of rooftop solar panels, EVs, data centers, or big chunks of wind and solar power that rise and fall with the weather. But not only is the grid having to take on growing load demands, importantly, it needs to transition to cleaner, less carbon intensive, and more climate-friendly energy sources. In his book, Power After Carbon, Boston University professor Peter Fox Penner says utilities now must deliver power that's clean, cheap, reliable, and cyber secure, all simultaneously. Which is like trying to do Pilates while simultaneously balancing your checkbook, taking a Zoom call, updating all your online account passwords, and packing your kid's lunchbox. Basically a multitasking fever dream. But luckily, we live amidst one of the most transformative technologies ever invented. Enter artificial intelligence. AI steps into these grid challenges exactly where they get hard, by forecasting renewable energy output, coordinating millions of small devices, and reducing grid congestion and interconnection delays to get the available energy we need to our homes and businesses. Let's break down the first big AI superpower. AI superpower number 1, hyper-accurate forecasting. A core aspect of most renewable energy sources is that they're intermittent. The sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. In other words, using renewable energy depends heavily on forecasting. If you know how much sun and wind you'll have tomorrow, you can schedule power plants, batteries, and demand response today. Luckily, taking in vast amounts of weather data and offering accurate projections is a task AI is especially well suited for. Wind and solar forecasting. Google's DeepMind famously trained neural networks on weather forecasts and turbine data to predict wind output 36 hours in advance. That allowed Google to commit power to the grid more confidently, increasing the value of their wind energy by about 20% compared to not using AI predictions. Recent reviews of machine learning in power systems show that this isn't just a one-off. Across many projects, AI models consistently beat traditional statistical methods for wind and solar forecasting, especially in complex conditions. More accurate forecasts are crucial because they mean fewer backup fossil plants running idle, needlessly burning energy, which is like not having to preheat your oven every few days just in case you get a banana bread hankering. Less wasted renewable energy, aka less curtailment. When the grid panics from congested lines, it often throws away wind or solar energy. AI calms this down. Smarter scheduling of batteries and demand response, where discharging energy at the right moment becomes timing, not just luck. Lower operating costs that trickle into lower rates over time, meaning you might actually smile at your utility bill one day. Unprecedented. AI native weather models. We're also seeing a revolution in weather prediction itself. A new AI system named Aardvark can generate global forecasts tens of times faster and thousands of times more energy efficient than traditional supercomputer models, while matching or even beating their accuracy. Google's latest Weather Next AI model, now built into their products, delivers high-resolution forecasts in under a minute and extends reliable hourly predictions up to 15 days out. For grid operators, this is huge. You don't just get better forecasts, you get them fast enough to feed into real-time control systems, sort of like your dad upgrading from using physical maps to now using Google Maps. You were always a superhero, Dad. AI superpower number 2, the AI-powered control room. Picture the grid control room as a NASA-style headquarters of blinking monitors and stressed-out engineers. But now, give them a superpowered AI co-pilot. A 2024 review in Applied Sciences and newer work in electric power systems research both highlight how AI is being tested for stability, protection, and control. Everything from voltage management to detecting dangerous oscillations before they cascade into blackouts. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL, also recently announced eGrid GPT, an early example of a Gen AI assistant for grid operators. It ingests real-time SCADA data, or supervisory control and data acquisition information, contingency analyses, and planning studies, then runs actions through a digital twin before suggesting them to human operators. What does this look like in practice? Digital twins of the grid that simulate what-if scenarios in real time. These are full virtual examples that test grid actions before grid operators take them, sort of like a Doctor Strange for the grid. Anomaly detection and early failure warnings, noticing patterns humans might miss, from transformer vibration changes to unusual load behavior, catching problems before they escalate. Adaptive protection systems, adapting automatically as the grid changes instead of relying on fixed settings that may not reflect the dynamic, renewable heavy grid. Faster response to emergencies or cyber attacks, because AI can evaluate thousands of electricity rerouting options in seconds instead of minutes or hours. Think of all of this less as AI runs the grid and more as a very fast, never sleeping assistant engineer constantly checking edge cases, or a bit like Iron Man with Jarvis, except instead of fighting aliens, they're preventing blackouts. AI superpower number 3, enhancing virtual power plants. This is where it gets exciting. The next transformation isn't just about big power plants, it's about orchestrating millions of small ones. Virtual power plants, or VPPs, connect thousands or millions of small devices, rooftop solar, home batteries, smart thermostats, EV chargers, and industrial loads, and operates them together like one giant power plant. Recent NREL work on AI-driven smart community control shows how machine learning can coordinate solar panels, batteries, and flexible loads in neighborhoods, turning them into mini VPPs that support the wider grid. Also, 2025 studies on VPPs emphasize that AI is key to keeping the grid stable when lots of distributed resources are suddenly ramping up and down. And we're already seeing real-world examples of this at scale. In China, AI is coordinating Shanghai's growing virtual power plant program, aggregating industrial users, EV fleets, and buildings to shave peak demand. Utility companies in the US are also piloting VPPs, using smart thermostats and residential batteries to avoid expensive peaker plants. Done right, AI-managed VPPs can let customers earn money for flexibility, delay or avoid new costly and unnecessary transmission and peaker plants, and make the grid more resilient. Imagine millions of homes automatically helping the grid instead of stressing it out, like the day when Snowflake, your elf on a shelf, shows up, instantly making Nobel Peace winners of your kids. AI superpower number 4, unclogging interconnection queues. One of the least sexy but most important problems we face is grid connection queues. In the US, there are over 2,600 gigawatts of solar, wind, and storage projects stuck waiting for interconnection studies. To give you an idea, that's about double the size of the entire existing US electrical grid. From 2018 to 2022, average studies took about 40 months. Many projects die in the queue, kind of like the DMV from hell, but for solar farms. But now, grid operators are using advanced software, increasingly infused with AI, to simulate the grid faster and prioritize realistic projects. PJM, the largest US grid operator, partnered with Google and Tapestry to use AI-enhanced tools to clear a backlog. By 2025, they'd cleared around 140 gigawatts of a 200 gigawatt queue and aimed to cut approval timelines roughly in half by 2026. Other regional transmission organizations like MISO and SPP are deploying similar tools, combining automated power flow and stability studies, pattern recognition to flag problem projects, and scenario analysis for different build-out plans. This isn't flashy, but interconnection queues are one of the bottlenecks that determine how fast clean energy actually gets built. All being said, AI could help clean energy reach the grid years faster and at a lower cost. But isn't AI energy hungry too? There is a bit of an elephant in the room worth addressing. AI itself consumes a lot of electricity. Data centers are now a non-trivial and fast-growing slice of power demand. However, AI is also being used on itself to optimize and shrink its very own footprint, kind of like giving it a Fitbit and a meal plan. Google's DeepMind cut data center cooling energy by about 40%, reducing total electricity use by roughly 15%, by letting AI tune thousands of set points in real time. A recent analysis led by economist Nicholas Stern suggests that, if deployed well, AI could cut emissions across power, transport, and food systems by 3.2 to 5.4 billion tons of CO2 per year by 2035, more than enough to outweigh AI's own energy footprint, mainly through smarter grids, logistics, and efficiency. In other words, AI can be either a climate problem or a climate solution. Policy and design choices decide which. In other words, we get to choose. Risks and governance. Energy use and climate aside, AI does pose some risks worth noting. Leading reports from the US Department of Energy and others flag several risks. Black box models making opaque decisions in safety-critical systems. Bias and unfairness if reliability is improved on average but worsens for specific regions or communities. Cybersecurity, where more software and connectivity means more attack surface. And over-reliance on automation, eroding human expertise in emergencies. The emerging consensus is AI should be an assistant, not an autocrat in the control room. We must build AI that's transparent, human-supervised, security-focused, and equitable. Think of AI not as replacing operators, but as the world's most alert assistant, one who never sleeps, never blinks, and can calculate power flows faster than we can say rolling blackout. Again, think of Iron Man with Jarvis rather than Ultron running the grid. How this will feel in your life, a look at life with an AI smart grid. Here's where the technology stops being abstract and starts becoming personal. Over the next decade, your everyday experience with energy could change in important, noticeable ways. For example, fewer blackout scares during extreme weather. During heat waves, instead of rolling blackouts or panicked news headlines, AI-managed grids could rebalance supply, shift demand, and keep power flowing with less stress. Or if a storm knocks out your part of town, your neighborhood microgrid may isolate temporarily and keep key loads alive. More rooftop solar, community solar, and batteries that pay off. If you have rooftop solar and a home battery, you might earn credits or payments by letting your system provide power and help stabilize the grid during peak hours. EVs that charge when power is cheapest and cleanest, automatically. If you have an EV, it may automatically charge at 2 a.m. when renewable energy is abundant and prices are low, saving you money without you even having to think about it. Bills that are lower and more stable, even as we electrify more of life. Over time, cleaner energy and more efficient management could mean lower bills, fewer outages, and less air pollution. In other words, when AI and renewable energy scale together, the grid becomes quieter, smarter, and more reliable. So reliable you barely even notice it. You'll just breathe cleaner air, pay lower bills, and live in a system that works in the background like an invisible guardian. But if your guardian angel also had access to vast amounts of SCADA data and a PhD in power systems, All that being said, if we get this right, AI won't just power the grid, it'll empower the people and the communities using it. Cleaner air, more renewable energy, lower bills, and a grid that actually thinks. That's all I have, but if you have any further thoughts, questions, or insight, drop a comment below. For example, what part of an AI-powered grid are you most excited or skeptical about? Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourself.